I'm Jay.
I'm Tom.
And we are VIMTV, Velocities in Music, the best kept secret in music reviews. Tonight, we're going to end our first set of 2013. We've done 9, this is our 9th album into 2013, and it's by Yo La Tengo, Fade. Yo La Tengo this is their 13th album. This is a very prolific band. And actually, I haven't heard a lot of their work other than the album from '97. I'm completely blanking on the name again.
I Can Hear the Heart Beating is one.
That's the one.
Album title.
Yeah, I really like that album.
Yeah.
And it's known as like one of their better ones. But to come back and to hear this band now, a decade and a half later, come out with Fade, which is kind of a different album. This one definitely had a more low-key vibe. So Tom, help me describe the difference in sound between Fade, or just what Fade sounds like.
Well, in general, I think it's a little sharper than what we normally hear from them, but it still keeps a lot of those lo-fi qualities. They keep it real.
Right.
It's not like they went totally poppy, and more than anything, it's a presentation of their sound that fits with the songwriting, because they generally have somewhat low-key, kind of minimalistic songwriting. I think that there's some good bells and whistles here. It doesn't distract. It adds to the overall sound.
Yeah, I think production over the sound was really one of the big highlights for me, just because I thought it enhanced some of the more natural sounding instruments that they were using. Every one of these tracks had a nice electric guitar sound. Nothing that was too distorted. It was just nice and clean and very almost to the point that it delivered. It did its job. The guitars delivered a melody that made the song progress, and it made you like listening to it. But a lot of these tracks have really, pretty simplistic drum beats and good bass lines. And so that's just something that I felt really drove the sound. But then when you also put this production that enhances that quality, and the vocals are a little bit lower in the mix, so everything feels nice and balanced. There's a nice warm presentation to it.
It's just a very calming sound.
It is.
This band has the ability to take what is and arguably a pop and rock sound still, and present it in such a calming manner that you just can't help but get behind it. And they always have good, consistent songwriting.
Now, one thing I noticed about this album, Tito, is it starts off really, really good. I love the track Om.
The opening track is probably the best.
It's almost 7 minutes long, but yet it doesn't feel long at all. It's just one of those tracks that I put it on and I'm just like, yes, this is exactly what I want to listen to. It's a great theme song to like start your day with,
Yeah.
And then the album kind of progresses, and it gets kind of more playful at times and more atmospheric at times too. Before the end of the album kind of just trails off into kind of a whirlwind of atmosphere, and it just gets kind of more laid back and just relaxing as you go along. It is. It has a sedated feel. I really like how they set this album up to flow. They definitely had a very big design when they came into it, and it's not a long album. However, it's in that 45-minute range, and it flows very nicely. I never feel like it's going too fast, or like it's dragging on for too long. I just feel like there's a really good balance to it. So, Tom, without that, there's not a lot much more to say.
There's not a lot to say. You kind of describe the sound of this and say, hey, the songwriting's good. I don't really know what else more to say. I definitely recommend it.
Well, there's definitely no track here that really blows me away. I feel like I prefer Om more than anything.
Yeah, me too.
But there's no just pivotal point on this. So I think if there's any quality about this album that I have to say, okay, they could have done this a little bit better, it's just in scope. It's just in saying, okay, we didn't really set out to make the pivotal album of 2013. They just wanted to make a solid Yo La Tengo record that kind of focused on just the sound that they've grown to be so good at, and they did a really good job putting it together and then presenting it. One thing I gotta say is I absolutely love the choice of album title, and the picture that they use for the album cover. I know that's something that you and I choose to talk about a lot, both album covers and album titles and track titles, and the way that they play into your listening experience. This album, its atmospheric vibes, its mood, its low-key kind of calming mood, fits in with Fade and the album cover, which is a faded picture of a tree. And I just feel like that just sets the ambiance to this album so well, and I really liked it. So I think with that said, I'm just going to go ahead and give it a 77.
Me too.
Why don't you just copy me some more?
Just because you said it first. doesn't mean I was planning on doing that 5 years ago.
This is a really good album. You should definitely check it out. If you guys have more recommendations, Yo La Tengo, we've now reviewed 2 albums, one from 1997, and then now Fade.
Quite a gap there.
Yeah, I know. And there's a lot of albums in between, too. There's a very prolific band. So if you guys have recommendations for us, we'd love to hear them, because this is the band that we've now had 2 good experiences with, and we're yearning for more. Let us know at www.velocitiesmusic.com or youtube.com/velocitiesmusic. As always, follow us on Twitter and like us on Facebook. And if you have good albums that you're into and are anticipating in 2013, please let us know what you're listening to and want to see us review. I'm Jake.
I'm Tom.
And we are VIMTV, moving music critique forward.
Finding comfort in our life before it disappears.